Hey everybody, and welcome to the Is It Kino Halloween special. We're back with another psychological horror and a very special moment in Is It Kino history. You know, I love it when I hear about somebody's favorite movie, but I love it even more when I hear about somebody's most hated movie, and that is why today I am joined by Mr. Biggs Bigsington.
I think most hated might even be an understatement.
Jeez.
There's got to be something like harsher to say about this film.
Well, I'm sure we'll find all sorts of vocabulary to describe it, and we are also joined by, he has not been on Is It Kino for a while, you might have missed him, Mr. Eggy Eggman Rodriguez.
Hola, amigos.
Trapped inside this Vivarium! You guys aware of the Dream Theater song Octavarium, or is that just me?
Yeah.
I think they played that at the concert we went to, but...
I don't think so. It's a 24-minute song.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I was going to say, if they played it, I fell asleep at some point.
So I'm just, chilling out, maxing out, relaxing all cool one day, and I get a message from Biggs. I don't remember exactly, but he basically said... I found a movie that's even worse than S Darko. Does that about summarize what you said to me, Biggs?
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly what I said. I think it's brought on like a new perspective for how bad a movie can be. And I was like, thinking back, I feel like S Darko, there was actually moments where I might have enjoyed the film where this was just hell the entire 97-minute runtime.
Well, perhaps intentionally. I mean, I think the characters say about as much in the film. Like, we are in hell.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it's an effective film. It makes you feel what the characters felt. But this is a movie that I incorrectly, for some reason, thought was the directorial debut of Jesse Eisenberg. I guess not. He's just the star of the film. It's called Vivarium. Came out in 2019. I had never heard of this before. Biggs, how did you stumble upon this most hated movie?
So I love watching horror movies. I think they're really funny. Most of them I just watch as comedies because I just think it's really funny, like acting, and a lot of the times like the gore and stuff is just really badly done, and it's just a good time.
Well, as kids we would laugh at actual real gore, so fake gore is probably a little funny too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So anyways, I was talking to Mrs. Biggs, and I was trying to convince her to watch a horror movie because she enjoys them, but not as much as I do. And especially when it starts getting dark out, she kind of gets spooked and doesn't want to watch them.
Oh, no.
Especially when I have to work third shift and I leave to go to the office, and then she's here alone.
Yeah, at night. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So she's like, well, I mean, I'll watch one, but I want to watch like a liminal horror movie. And I'm like, there's only one that really comes to mind that I remember, and you're not going to want to watch this. I've heard terrible things.
Oh, is it Skinamarink? Because that's my vote for worst movie of all time.
I haven't seen that.
But if you hated this, dude, Skinamarink, in my opinion, is 10 times worse.
Oh no, I don't want to watch it then.
Yeah, don't even bother, dude. Like, as a friend, I have to tell you, don't watch Skinamarink. Friends don't let friends watch Skinamarink. That's why Weekend Warrior is my enemy. He forced us to watch it.
Yeah, but do you know what like the liminal pictures and stuff are? Do you get that whole idea?
It's like lay Zoomers are afraid of going into the office at night because nobody's there.
Yeah, basically. So she likes looking at those pictures. She said it like gives a weird aura and stuff, whatever. So she wanted to try and find a horror movie that was like that. And I'm like, well, I already know of one. And when you Google liminal horror movie, it's probably going to be the first one that comes up. But I've heard so many terrible things about this movie, I've always avoided it. And she's like, well, what is it? And I told her Vivarium. So she
Trapped inside
So she like Googles liminal horror movie, and sure enough, it's the first one popped up. She's like, oh, we gotta watch this. We gotta watch it. I'm so excited. It's gonna be great. And I'm like, okay, sure. So sadly enough, I'm looking around and it's not streamed anywhere for free. So I had to rent this movie for $4.
Oh my God, Biggs.
That makes this
I got
even
some
worse.
links I could send you, my friend.
So it made this even worse. I mean, yeah, I could have went online and found it somewhere, but I was lazy. Didn't want to have to like hook up my laptop.
That doesn't sound like
TV
you
or anything. Yeah, that's true.
You
And
don't
so
want to
we
pull
got-
out the HDMI cable to connect to the laptop because it makes the pussy dry up. I feel you. Yeah, women want
Yeah.
you to pay for movies.
Yeah. So I rent it, and yeah, we sat down to watch it, and oh man, what was it? It was 2 days ago when I watched this movie, right? And I texted you about it,
Yeah.
and I literally had to pull up like the Wikipedia for this to remember how the movie laid out, like the pacing of it. I'm like, I don't even remember what part of the movie this happened. Like, I remember all the parts, just not which order, because it was so boring, and
You
it felt
kind
like
of
the
Pulp
movie was
Fiction
6
the
hours
movie
long.
in your own mind.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
should we give Aggie a chance to give his initial thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Eggy what you thought of this movie, because you kind of got roped into this after I ranted to Mumkey about it.
Well, out of the two films that I kind of coincidentally happened to be reviewing in the last couple of days, this one I think had my attention a little bit more. So just in the last couple of days also, I'd been getting into playing some horror games I'd never played before. And the atmosphere of the film, it reminded me of like survival horror-esque. Like, okay, boom, you're dropped into nowhere's land, you don't know what's going on, and it was kind of this energy that had me guessing. So I was actually, not to spoil, I don't think there was too much payout to pay such close attention to what was going on, but it had me glued to the screen just because I was trying to understand like what's the next thing that's about to happen here, because I wasn't really grasping it too well. So at least I'll give it that. It definitely had my attention captured, if nothing else. And I wasn't mad at it. I didn't hate it. I was just it was like watching one of those maze screensavers back in the day where like it would be all these 3D like rendered pipes and the little purple line was going around. And you're like, oh, where's it going to go next?
That's kind of like what the characters were watching on TV in the movie.
Yeah. So maybe there's something to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Biggs, I'm more in Eggy's camp. I gave this a 5 out of 10 on Letterboxd because they accurately simulate a living nightmare, and I felt like I was in hell with the characters. And I also thought that this was surprisingly funny. Like, I thought that everything with the little kid and the creepiness was all funny. I was giggling throughout the film. So I got something out of it, but I'm glad that you hate it a lot, and I want to hear why you hate it.
Well, so there were parts that even Mrs. Biggs were like laughing at, but I was just so mad that I had to sit and watch this movie that it just drowned out any potential humor that I could have gotten out of it. Like, I don't know why they felt the need to like alter the kid's voice and make him sound like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was ridiculous, and it pissed me off every time he started talking.
It
like,
pissed them off too. That's the whole
like,
point.
Well, why did they decide to go with this voice? Like,
should we have Biggs give a brief synopsis of what this film's about? Because I'm guessing most people have not seen this and have no idea.
Okay, so basically, just like a whole rundown of the movie.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so basically the movie opens and it's showing like a bird's nest, and
Maybe less granular detail and more.
Because the opening scene supposedly holds like immense value for the rest of the movie, because it opens up with the idea of the movie being this bird nest. And I wondered about it, and I looked it up after the movie why they added it, and it was because of like the detail
theme
of it, I guess.
Actually, no. Now that you mention it, I'd completely forgotten the entire opening scene, but now that you mentioned it, I just understand the entire movie instantly. So actually, you're very right. Yeah.
Yeah, so like when I looked it up, they used the word brood parasitism, and basically it's like forcing another creature or species to raise your young. So it was like showing this bird abandoning the chicks in the nest, and then one like yeets its brother out or whatever.
Well, if I recall, that's where the word cuck comes from, is the cuckoo bird, right, Aggie?
Yeah,
yep.
Pretty sure.
Raising another animal's offspring, that's pretty cucky.
Yeah, so It kind of was supposed to set the mood or whatever, but I didn't get that at all when I watched it. It was just kind of okay, why is this scene here? But anyways, then it goes into introducing the characters, and they're talking about, oh, we're going to go look at this house. So they go over to this place where they meet Martin. What is the guy's name? Jonathan Aris, I think, played Martin. I think he did a good job of playing this really weird character because every time he was on screen, he pissed me off. And I feel like that's proof that he played it well.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to sell him on the idea of moving to this housing development called Yonder, where like, you know, it's going to be a perfect home, like forever home for a family with kids and blah,
And it's just
blah.
like a copy paste of the exact same greenhouse.
Yeah.
So it's like just a horrible maze of identical homes.
Yeah, so he like talks him into driving over there, and they're just driving through row after row of the exact same house, like even the same yard and everything. Like they're all copy paste.
How do you think they did that? Did they build this neighborhood or is this like CGI?
Absolutely not. I feel like they've got like maybe 1 or 2 houses set up, so it was easier to film, but the rest, it all looked CGI.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there's a scene where what's his name? I'm gonna call him Mark Zuckerberg because I forget.
Jesse Eisenberg.
When he's up on the roof at that first time, the CGI is the green screen rather is quite palpable. They might not have blended the lighting on that one quite good enough, but that was where I kind of drew the distinction. But yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'll kind of come back to that part, but I feel like they could have done something cool with that. But anyways, so they go to this house, Martin's showing them around, and eventually he just like dips without them knowing. He shows them the backyard and he just leaves. So then they're like confused. They're like, oh, where'd Martin go? They go out to the front. His car's gone. So they're like, okay, well, let's get out of here because we're like super creeped out. So they get in their car. Gemma, Imogen Poots is the one that plays her, right? Starts driving, and they keep ending up back at the same house. So Tom, Jesse Eisenberg's character, is like getting pissed, and he's like, you know what, just let me drive. Like, obviously you're doing something wrong here. So he hops in the driver's seat. They drive around, basically run out of gas, back at the same house. So then, if I remember right, they like go through that food basket full of like tasteless food. Like, it looks like good food, but it's all
It's like
no
freeze-dried shrimp and shit. It made me
Yeah.
kind of gag looking at it.
So then it goes into like a montage of them trying to walk towards the sunset, and they're like, well, clearly if we just keep walking towards the sunset, we'll get out of here. Like, that's just how, you know, it works. So they montage running towards the sun, climbing fences and stuff, and eventually end up back at the same house.
Yeah.
And I think that's around the time when Tom just like loses it and like burns the house down. And
And they wake up the next morning and the house is back.
yeah, the house is back, but there's still ash everywhere. And then they find a box with a baby inside, and it says like "raise the child and be released" or something like that.
Yeah, but they say released. Spoiler alert: it's not released from this hell. It's released from the mortal coil.
So then I think it like skips like 90 some days, right?
Yeah.
98 days.
Yes, like
And-
suddenly the baby is like an 8-year-old out of nowhere, and you find out that he grew that fast in 90 days. So he's a supernatural being.
Yeah, and so it cuts to like them sitting at the table eating breakfast or something, and both the characters are just staring at this kid like it's an alien basically. And you know, I don't think the movie ever really explains what they are, and so I guess alien is a good thing to call it.
Well, my impression was like they're being tortured, having to raise this child who, in my mind, is autistic coded. Like he's constantly repeating things back to them in their tone of voice, and like, you know, they interpret it as mocking. Like they get very annoyed about it. But really, it just kind of seems like he's trying to learn how to be human, and they don't like being copycatted so much.
Yeah, and I guess that's something I skipped over with Martin is there's a couple parts where he was showing the house where he like mimicked
He was imitating
what Gemma
them
was
too.
saying.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. So then like the kid starts doing it too, and I don't know. Anytime the kid wants something, he doesn't say it. He just starts screaming, and that just made me so mad. I almost turned off the movie like the second time he did it.
Well, at this point, and I was still under the impression that Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed this, so it's probably irrelevant, but at this point I Googled, does Jesse Eisenberg have an autistic son? And it turns out when they made this movie, his son had turned about 4 years old, so I was under the impression like this is the horrors of being a parent from his point of view, but I guess he was not involved in the creative process, so.
So then I think the next part was them like waiting outside, waiting to see who brings them food, right? And so he's waiting there with the pickaxe because he's going to try and attack him. And she's like, I don't think we're ever going to see him. We never see him drop off the food or something. And then I think he's smoking or something. He flicks the cigarette, and then I don't know what kind of effect they did.
It's like stop motion.
Yeah, it was like a stop motion of the grass burning away around the cigarette. And for whatever reason, that happening gave him the idea to start digging.
Because it's not soil, it's like some weird clumpy clay sort of material.
It's like foam or something. So anyways, at the beginning when he got in Gemma's car, he like put his gardening tools in there because I guess he was a gardener at the school or something she worked at. So he pulls out a shovel and starts digging, and then it goes into like a montage.
And that's the rest of the movie, is Jesse Eisenberg is digging a hole. Like legit the next 45 minutes is just that.
Yeah, so it kind of skips through a few days of him digging, and there's just like nothing there. And then it's just kind of the descent into madness for him, and
he gets like some sort of like miner's lung, like being in the hole all day makes his lungs weak and he starts dying.
Yeah, and it also shows Gemma like getting this weird connection to the kid at first, and
she is like a kindergarten teacher, so I could see why she might be attached to a child, even though it's a weird alien freak, and she's defending the kid from Jesse Eisenberg, who's like, fuck it, let's just kill it, kill it.
Yeah, they like lock it in the car and try not to feed it, and she like gets it out or whatever.
And it deteriorates their relationship, and she becomes more bonded with the kid while he's just like literally sleeping in the hole every night and digging all day. And I was under the impression that the kid at one point was like spying on them having sex from the doorway. And I thought, hey, cuckold themes, in full blast here. I thought that the kid was going to grow up and she would like start fucking the adult version.
I did too.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that was going to happen. Like, there's no way they do this with this movie, right? Like, because then it cuts to another part where he's like grown up now, and it's like another 20, 30 days or something. And he's just a grown adult.
He's like older than Imogen Poots at that point.
Yeah, and it felt so weird because it really did feel like they were trying to build some kind of sexual tension between them. And I'm like, I don't really like where this is going at all.
But thankfully, by the time he's an adult, she says to Jesse Eisenberg, I should have let you kill him when he was a child. So at that point, I figured she was not falling for him.
Yeah, and an ongoing joke, I guess, through the movie is him calling her mother, and she's saying, I'm not your mother.
Yeah, I'm not your fucking mother.
Yeah, you're disgusting.
That's her last line, too.
I guess that was one scene that kind of made me smile, is when the kid's running in circles saying, like, I'm disgusting, I'm disgusting. Terrible.
It was effective for me because I've spent a lot of time with my cousin Joey, and he has a 4-year-old son who we call Chucky because he's just an evil little doll of a creature, and he does screech autistically when he wants something, so this felt very real to life.
Yeah. I guess another thing I had noted was at some point when the kid was little, he like disappeared for a little bit and came back with like these books that shows
like demon books.
Yeah, like humans with like these weird throat, like almost like a frog sack on their throat.
Mm-hmm. And full of like weird demonic language.
Yeah, so once he gets older, at some point he locks them out of the house and he starts leaving every day to go somewhere, and like they don't really know where he's going, so they start sleeping in the car. And that's pretty much where Tom just starts dying. He's like laying around every day and like coughing, and she's like pleading with with the kid to let him back in the house because he needs medicine, this and that. And I think he just like dies in her lap, right?
Yeah, just laying on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And then the full-grown adult kid just walks in and hands her a body bag.
Yeah, he like walks up with a box and she's like, "Oh, what is this? Escape or something?" She opens it and it's literally just a body bag and she starts crying.
Yeah. And the thing is, Jesse Eisenberg, we don't see it, but like at the bottom of the hole, he discovers something and he's freaked out by it. Turns out it would appear to be the body bag with himself in it because, a little bit later, his corpse in the body bag gets thrown into the hole and then completely buried, and then like the grass magically regrows. So it's really showing that this is a cycle, and maybe he didn't find himself. Maybe he found like the previous people's.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I feel like it's somebody else, because at some point, Gemma takes the pickaxe and attacks the guy, like the boy who's grown up, and he runs away and like
he lifts up the sidewalk like it's made of rubber, like fucking
he lifts
full
up
Nika.
the sidewalk, and then you see him like spider crawl in there hissing, and she watches him like go. I don't even know how you would say it. What are those like the scopes that you look through that's got like all the weird
kaleidoscope
colors and stuff? Yeah, it was like a kaleidoscope, but of different houses and rooms and stuff.
Now,
and he, like,
Biggs, do you remember
down the
how
hall.
I memorized how to spell the word kaleidoscope?
How?
Because in high school, our friend Dakota was dating this horrible bitch named Kale, and I realized it's Kale I do scope. That's how you spell it.
Wow, what a great way.
Yeah. Like, you playing Call of Duty without a scope? Kale I do scope. There you go.
Good one.
I hated that bitch. I'm glad that I threw marinara on her.
Oh man, I almost got a ticket because of her. I won't go
ticket?
into
What do
that.
you mean?
I was somewhere. I can't remember where I was, but I was like heading back to their place because it was when me and Cobb lived with them. And
Wait, you lived with Kale?
yeah.
Oh, Biggs.
I lived with Kale and Dimes over on the east side.
Oh, and I thought that you spending COVID with me was the down of your life, but goddamn, you lived with Kale?
It was terrible. It was pretty awful. And, I mean, maybe on the next Monkey and Big show I can go more into that. But anyways,
No, do it right now.
I don't. Okay, I guess a little bit. So, anyways, to end off that story, I'm like driving home and Dimes calls me.
You can just call him Dakota, I think.
Well, I mean, I always call him Dimes
Yeah,
anyways. But he calls me and he's like, "Hey, can you like give me a ride somewhere? Like me and Kayla are fighting and
Ugh.
blah blah blah." And I hear like screaming in the background, and then he's like, "You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna hit her." And I'm like, "What?" And then he hangs up.
What?
So I start speeding home, thinking there's like some domestic violence going on in the front yard because they were out in the front yard. And a cop pulls me over and he's like, "Hey, like you're going like 20 over the speed limit. What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just got this call from my house and I think domestic violence is happening."
Yeah, bring
He's
the
like,
cop
"Oh."
with you. Good idea.
He's like, "What's the address or where's it at?"
Oh, God.
I just gave him like a random address over in that general area.
Oh, Biggs.
And
Can't
he's like,
he
"All right."
see your ID?
He's like, no, he didn't ask for my ID or anything after I told him that. He was just like on
Wow.
high alert. So he's like, "All right, follow me. I'll turn on my lights." So he starts like blasting down the highway. And I literally like
You ditch him?
another car was like next to us and they cut me off. So I used that as a chance to get off on the next exit.
Is this the secret to get out of any ticket? Say, I'm on the way to stop domestic abuse. Can you escort me? And then just ditch
Yeah.
the cop?
Yeah, so then I ditched him, and I never did hear anything back about that because obviously they had my license plate on camera. But anyways, so I get over there, and he's like sitting on the porch, and he's like looking really pissed off, and I didn't see her, and I'm like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And apparently they just had a screaming match, and she like left or something. But yeah,
Couldn't be me.
that house was terrible when we moved in with them. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna fix up this house." It was like I'm forgetting the word, that you get like stuff from your family when they die.
Inherited?
Yeah, inherited the house from like her grandpa or something. And they're like, "We're going to fix up the house and one of you can have the room upstairs and then we're going to finish the basement and whoever wants the downstairs room can have that." when it's done. And Cobb's like, "Oh, I'll take the basement." Yeah, that room never got finished, so Cobb just slept on the couch the entire time we lived there.
Yeah, because as we all know, the walls need to be finished to put a bed in the room. Smart thinking, Cobb.
It was like a literal dirt floor down there.
That's what Cobb fucking deserves to live in. I'm glad he had to live in a dirt floor.
So anyways, and the other thing, I mean, most people, I feel like today would find this troubling too, is the internet there was awful. It was like 50 kilobit per second internet.
Whoa!
So another sub story is I was so excited for GTA 5 to finally come to PC. I had only played it on Xbox 360. So I had pre-ordered it, and at that time, you know, that's when they started doing the pre-downloads where you could download the game like 2 days early. That way it was ready when it came out. Yeah, so I started the download 2 days before it came out when I was able to start it. And I let my computer run non-stop. For 4 days it took to download on that internet.
Yeah, it's a big game.
4 days. I was so pissed. I pre-ordered it and wanted to play it 2 days early and ended up playing it 2 days late.
Yeah. But could you play online, or that was not even an option?
No, there was no way I was playing anything online.
And there was no way to go to the Wendy's parking lot and use their Wi-Fi because it was your desktop computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, that house was pretty terrible. I mean,
do we know how Dakota and Kale broke up?
I don't. I have no idea. But the other part of that whole situation was they found a dog on Craigslist.
Oh, right.
Named Cooper. And it would just run around the house and poop everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was a big dog too. It wasn't a small dog. So it'd leave this massive mounds of poop everywhere, and they refused to clean it. And also, it was super hyper, jump all over you and knock stuff over and break stuff. It was terrible. That whole situation.
It rings a bell. My other Hispanic friend named Brandon also lived with a horrible couple that had animals that shit in the house all the time. So maybe it's just something about Hispanic Brandons and they're bad roommates.
Yeah, like I would be in my room playing whatever on my PC, and then Kale would come home and she'd like yell at me for not cleaning up his poop, and I'm like, dude, this isn't my dog.
You stupid bitch! What?
This isn't my dog. I'm not cleaning up after him.
Yeah, how about you take your own fucking dog out, bitch?
I would just lock myself in my room pretty much the entire time I lived there.
I would have pulled a Carrie, but instead of pig's blood, it's just marinara sauce and just coat the bitch.
No, I would have killed the dog and then coated her in that.
Well, no, don't kill the dog. Poor puppy.
No, it deserved it. That was terrible.
Okay, should we finish the synopsis of the film? I think we're at the end anyway.
Basically, the ending is her chasing that kid through there's like a maze of houses, but different colors for some reason.
And she's like sinking through the floor, which leads to the next house. And I guess the same thing is happening to other couples because she witnesses them fucking in the bed and a woman sitting at the kitchen table. So I guess they're not the only one in this nightmare dimension. Yeah,
so was the different colors to show us like they're going through different dimensions, or...
Probably. I doubt even the filmmakers know. Like, this seems like just random bullshit.
Well, I think... Once Biggs mentioned the bird allegory, because for the audience, it's a cuckoo bird. They talk about it, and it's the cuckoo bird. It brings its young into other nests, and then it gets old, or like grows up and like takes over the nest. I don't know if it kills the parents, but it probably does. So maybe there's some other bird allegories here that I hadn't previously considered. And what it makes me think of is that when we reviewed, I saw the TV Glow. Spoiler alert! I don't know when this is coming out.
This will be out after that.
So I said. I think we determined that 2 views of the movie was necessary to comprehend everything, and now I'm sitting here like, oh fuck.
I would not watch this again. I mean, once was enough.
I need to just Google on Wikipedia what all the different things that cuckoo birds do and see how much else I can kind of draw a comparison to. But I think there was definitely some demonic element here that was original.
Yeah, and that was another thing I guess we didn't really touch on too, is when Tom was digging in the hole, he was hearing like some kind of creature under the ground, and it never explained that. It was just like this weird screeching noise. So anyways, she's going through like all these RGB houses and pretty much ends up back at her house or whatever. And then how she end up dying, I don't remember.
She kind of just lays down and dies, doesn't she, Aggie? Did I miss something?
Something like that.
The child, who's now fully grown, he's basically like over her as she's laying in bed, and she's like partially in the body bag, so maybe I guess she might have just given up resistance. There's nothing that indicates that he physically like overpowered her necessarily. So I guess
he just zips her up, and then like she says, "I'm not your fucking mother," and then we just see him drag her down the stairs.
Yep, dumps her in the hole.
He throws her in the hole.
And fills it up, and then he goes to the realtor office from the beginning, and the guy who we knew who gave them the tour, he's like a fucking corpse at this point, and he gets body bagged as well. And then the cycle begins anew with the kid all grown up. He's the new realtor, and a new couple walks in.
Yeah, he puts Martin into a bag and then folds him up like origami.
Puts him
in a file cabinet.
Yeah. See, that was good, Biggs. How can you say it's the worst movie ever when it has delightful moments like that?
Because this is like looking back at the movie. At the time, I was so pissed that I was like, this better be the end. And I like picked up the remote and checked the runtime. Like, oh, thank the Lord, it's over.
Yeah. So my interpretation of the film is this is a genre called liberal horror, where liberals try to take like conservative family values and try to twist them and say, no, actually it's lay bad. The American dream of having a big house in the suburbs and raising a family, it's lay bad. It's torture. Oh, this is anti-feminist. A woman shouldn't be raising a kid. A woman should be at work all day. That's what we need. And like the horror is just living a normal life.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Honestly, looking back at the movie, that's almost exactly what this was. Honestly.
100%.
Man, I don't know. Like, explaining the movie doesn't do it justice. I would never recommend this movie, but to feel the anger that I felt and to understand why I hate it so much, you have to watch the movie. You have to subject yourself to it. And I think around like maybe the 20-minute mark, you'll already know like how terrible this movie is.
If you would like to see it without giving it money, Eggy found me a website called new-fmovies.cam. So if you can figure that one out, if you see a CAPTCHA, you'll know you're in the right place. Yeah. And I've had no problems with this website yet.
I think if I had also spent $4, I might have maybe a less positive opinion of the film. Because, like, for what it is, though, just in the presentation, it all is very average. I might, if I go through and I do some of this research into the cuckoo bird and see if I can figure out, like, anything else to appreciate, maybe, because I'm feeling like a 2 out of 5, I could probably bring it up to, like, a 2.5 then, maybe, if something went over my head. But otherwise, just very painfully mediocre.
Sure. But you do not concur, Biggs.
No, I just feel like through the whole movie, there was just nothing happening. Like, there was a lot that happened, but it felt like there was nothing happening. Every minute that passed, I'm like, when is the movie starting?
Bro, okay, at this point, maybe I have to go back on what I said. You need to watch Skinamarink. You are describing Skinamarink. There's literally no movie. There are no characters. Nothing happens. Literally. It's the most liminal space movie of all time because it's literally about nothing.
Like, I feel like a lot of movies I watch, they suffer from having too many endings where it's like the movie could end right here and it'd be perfect. Oh, the movie could end right here and but it just keeps going. This one suffered from not having an opening. It just like never began. Like, right at the beginning of the movie, they're put into this situation and there's just the same thing the entire movie. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Until the very end where she's like chasing him. Like, that's pretty much all that happens in the movie.
But as a psychological horror, doesn't that kind of fit? Like, you feel like you're trapped in a horrible space where nothing's happening and you can't escape?
I guess they did that part of the movie right, because it did make me feel like I was trapped in...
Yeah, didn't you have, like, horrible anxiety?
Hell. But I would say this is like a way worse movie version of Holes because you're just watching.
I did mention Holes while we were watching it. I said, oh, this dude thinks he's Stanley Yelnats.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, any other thoughts on this movie, Aggie? I think we about covered it.
The tension was there, so that I appreciate. The acting was fine. You know, to be honest, the child, he played his role very well. I feel like Miss Poots, I think she really brings some really good character with the sort of emotion she has. There's times where she's just overcome with grief and terror in a couple different scenes, and I think she plays that very well. Jesse, yeah, I mean, he does all right. He kind of falls to the side once he's literally in the cuck hole.
Yeah, yes.
He's sleeping in the cuck hole every night, and all he basically just, you know, he's got a little bit of fire in him at first when he slams the kid down after he gets tripped by him. Otherwise, he just basically dies in a hole, and so he's kind of neither here nor there. And the actors, both, the ones who played both Martins, and I ain't talking about Bad Boys, but both Martins, I think they also had a very good energy about them that kept them creepy, kept the tension. So, I mean, yeah, other than that, yeah, nothing much really happens. There's not really any build up to anything. And I did feel that the movie was inconclusive until the cuckoo allegory, so maybe there's something there, but if you didn't pay super close attention to the first few minutes, like I did not very much, it wasn't enough, although I did draw the comparison to Martin Sr., if you will, his repetition of Miss Poots' words. I picked up on that later on in the movie, but yeah, very middle of the road. You could need it or keep it. Either way, it's not going to change your life.
Yeah, you could ignore its existence and your life will probably be better for it.
Yeah. I guess I had a couple final thoughts and a question for you guys, because something else kind of bothered me during the movie, and it just kind of pissed me off whenever it was happening on screen. So I'll start this out by saying I am not an active person at all, and I pretty much never run, ever. Do you think the way Gemma's character was running, is that just how Imogen Poots runs in real life, or was that like the director saying, hey, can you do this really stupid like dance run? Like, do you guys remember watching that? Like when she's trying to run down, like to find the boy after she's like, oh, let's go play this game. And she's trying to find a way out, like later in the movie. Well, do you remember that?
Was she not wearing heels? Because there's at least there's a point where she's running down the street and it shows her feet. I think maybe it's when she's looking for either Tom or the boy. I forget specifically, but she's wearing these boots with high heels on them. So that might have had something to do with. That might have
been it. I don't know. I was like, if this was like a chosen thing by the director, this is so dumb. Because every time she was running, it was like this weird, like she was trying to do a dance while she was running. And it pulled me out of anything that they were trying to do with the scene, like make it scary or something. I was like, this is just a little too wacky.
I'm not really in a position to judge somebody's stride, because it has recently been revealed to me that I am incredibly bow-legged, and my walk is similar to that of a midget's waddle. So I guess I've been walking wrong my entire life. So, who am I to judge Miss Poots?
Yeah, if it's just the way she runs, then, whatever. But if it was a director choice of like, hey, your character is going to run like this, that was really dumb.
Maybe the freeze-dried shrimp makes you kind of walk retarded.
Yeah. I guess the other thing that I had just thought of while Iggy was explaining, final thoughts, is in the beginning when she like gets Tom and he's all dirty from doing gardening, and she's like, change your shirt, you look gross. And then at the end of the movie, he's like covered in dirt again. I don't know if there was supposed to be something there to get from that, but
some bookends on the movie.
Yeah, but
Should we
Yeah.
watch a Vivarium, the ending explained, or some of those stupid fucking YouTube videos?
Oh man.
Maybe we'll get a newfound appreciation.
Oh, that was the other thing I was going to bring up. I think another thing that probably pissed me off even more after the movie was
I like that the
reading.
movie pissed you off. I always love it when you get pissed at an inanimate object.
Man, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But after the movie, I was like, what do people think of this movie? It's got to be terrible reviews.
Oh yeah, I didn't even check the Rotten Tomatoes.
I was reading reviews and I couldn't believe what I was watching or what I was reading. Let me pull this up again real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the letterbox and see what people said on there.
I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia article on Cuckoo Bird.
Oh, good thinking. This has an average of 2.8 on Letterboxd, so generally disliked.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, it has 39% viewer score.
What about critic score?
Critic score was 72.
Wow. Wow, okay.
Where was... But anyways, I was reading through the reviews, and all the ones that rated it a good score, just... It really pissed me off, because I could tell they were trying to be as artsy as they could in their
Like a pretentious opinion, pretending that they liked it because it's pseudo deep.
Yeah, this one says, Vivarium is an interesting one. It might frustrate a lot of viewers with its surreal aspects, but it's still a compelling film. What is compelling about this movie?
Hey, I was compelled. I wanted to see if she was going to fuck the child.
Wow.
I mean, you weren't curious, what is happening? What will the next reveal be? Are they going to kill this kid? I wanted to see what would happen next. The problem was not very much stuff happened.
Here's another one where they gave it, full score. Vivarium's Purgatory is more clear-cut, though that somehow doesn't make it any less mysterious. What? What kind of review is that to leave it a full rating? Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Reviews as archaic as the film. The number one
It's
review.
as much of a nothing burger.
Yeah, the most upvoted review on Letterboxd is 2.5 stars, like I gave it, and he said that fucking ghoul kid managed to make Jesse Eisenberg not the most annoying person in the movie. For once.
Here's another one, 10 out of 10. It was a roller coaster in the dark. Bro.
What's the name of that Disney ride that's a roller coaster in the dark? That was one of my favorites, like Magic Mountain or
Rocket Roller Coaster or something like that.
And I think it had Mountain in the name.
I'm too poor to go to Disney, so I've
I went with Rusty
been.
Cage many years ago. We'll never go again. How can any other visit compare? I've been a Jesse Eisenberg defender ever since Batman v Superman. People thought he was cringe in that movie and ruined it. I thought it was Kino, so I'll defend him. I've always liked him.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with him. I feel like most things I've seen with him in it were fine.
Yeah, he was born to play Mark Zuckerberg, so...
I've actually never seen that movie.
You would probably like it. It's an easily enjoyable film. It's better than this one by a fucking long shot.
Is it as good as The Founder, though?
The Founder was a pretty good 3 out of 5. I don't think it's a super compelling film.
I love Michael Keaton a lot.
Yeah, I love Michael Keaton. Did you find any cuckoo info, Aggie?
Nothing that's really standing out to me.
They don't say that cuckoo birds lift up the sidewalk and enter a parallel dimension?
Oh yeah, another thing I had read was somebody's like, oh, it was so artistic how in the beginning Tom buried the dead chick that got ejected from its nest, and at the end, the chick is the one that buried him. Oh, I'm like, bro.
Yeah, I guess if you have similar things happen at the beginning and end, that means you're really smart and clever. So,
Yeah,
screenwriting
apparently.
101, just make shit happen again.
And I think that what really put the cap on this movie for being terrible is that they didn't even bother to explain any of it. And you can't even use the oh well, it's left up to your interpretation because they didn't give us anything to interpret.
Mm-hmm.
What are we supposed to pull from that? Like, he hears weird creature growling underground, and then at the end they're like running through RGB like multi dimensions. What else am I supposed to get from that? There's nothing. It doesn't like hint at, you know, oh, these are aliens. It doesn't hint at, oh, these are like, you know, some, what was that, Hollow Earth theory creatures or something.
Oh, huh.
Like, there was just nothing that it hinted at. So I don't, yeah.
Well, all the evil characters are British, so it might just be about how British people are creepy and weird, which I agree with.
They're just reptiles.
Yeah, pretty much.
British people are aliens and they're trying to sneak back into America and get us back.
Yeah, they're forcing us to raise their young.
Well, I think we have come at least close to the end here. If you guys have any final thoughts about anything or anything you want to plug or anything else you want to talk about.
Well, my Wikipedia research did have something conclusive that's completely not related, but did you know that the Roadrunner is a cuckoo bird? So
no, I did not know that.
Maybe Wile E. Coyote was just getting cucked all along. And I guess I should have known this, but Cocoa Puffs, he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's right, because he's a cuckoo bird.
Oh my God.
So Sonny, he's been cucking our livers with diabetes for 62 years.
Yes, true. Damn.
I'm grateful for it. Cocoa Puffs are good.
So Cocoa Puffs lore is literally as deep as this film. Literally.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Cool. If you are looking for a living nightmare and you got 100 minutes to kill, you know, if I sat and watched this alone, I probably would not have even looked away from my phone. But watching it with people and all of us being confused, trying to figure it out, and some of the shocking moments sharing together, I think that was, it made it worth the price of admission, which was $0. Again, F Movies or whatever website. Yeah, if you paid $4, you should be pissed. If you saw this in theaters for $15 in California, I would commit suicide. But I saw it for free, so I can't complain.
Yeah. I guess my only final thoughts are, this movie was so bad, it made me rethink S Darko, and I might actually feel like that's a good movie now.
Well, is that our natural next review, Biggs? Should we start with Donnie Darko, because we've never properly reviewed that, or should we just skip straight to S Darko?
We could probably just do a mashup of it, because I feel like doing an opening of Donnie Darko is pretty easy.
Oh, you want to do a 2-for-1?
Yeah, why not?
You don't think you could talk about Donnie Darko for an hour by itself?
I mean, I could, but
yeah, that's what people want to hear. And then we can talk about S Darko for 2 fucking hours, dude. There's a lot to talk about.
True. Yeah, we can just do 2 then.
Yeah. So hey, maybe this coming November or December, since this is coming out around Halloween, maybe we'll do some Donnie Darko and S Darko reviewing. Have you seen either of those, Aggie?
I've seen Donnie Darko. I guess I didn't realize that S Darko was related. I think the only first time I'd heard about it is when you mentioned to me that Big said that this Vivarium had replaced S Darko as his least favorite movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that sounds like Donnie Darko, but if they got a connection, I've never heard of it.
S stands for Samantha, which is the younger sister of Donnie Darko. And the actress who plays S Darko actually has appeared on our show before, because during the retirement party of Biggs Bigsington episode of Mumkey and Biggs Show, I did order a cameo from her to, and I think I lied and said, like, my friend Biggs loves this movie, it's his favorite movie. And she's like, yeah, I don't know why you love it.
Yeah, she was very confused why, of all people, she would be picked as a cameo for loving this movie.
Yeah. So go check that out if you haven't seen that episode of the podcast, and stay tuned for episodes to come.
See ya.
Oh, you don't want to plug anything, Biggs?
Nah.
What about you, Aggie?
Hey, you know what? I'm going to stand in solidarity. Hashtag stand with Biggs. You know what? Thank you for smashing the like button. Make sure to subscribe.
Hey, I'll plug this. If you want to hear me and Eggy talk about One Piece, we're reviewing it volume by volume. I've probably mentioned this a million times in the last 2 months, but Mumpkey D. Jones is the YouTube channel. Go subscribe and join us on our journey. Biggs is very excited. He said he's going to start reading it so we can listen to the podcast. How far are you into One Piece so far, Biggs?
2 episodes exactly.
See, we're reading the books is the problem.
Kind of somewhere out in the middle, though.
Yeah, and also the episodes you've seen are like episode 486 and episode 800.
Yeah, we still have to review the last one that we saw.
561, fucking Fishman Island. Yeah. By the time this comes out, we've probably already done that.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.